Welcome to Learning English from People.
Pablo Picasso, he broke art and made it new. What makes a person a genius? Is it talent, hard work, or a new way of seeing the world? For one man, it was all three. His name was Pablo Picasso, and he is one of the most famous artists of all time. He didn't just paint pictures, he changed the idea of art itself. His long life was full of color, love, sadness, and constant change. This is his story. His story begins in a sunny city in the south of Spain called Malaga. Pablo Picasso was born there on October 25, 1881. His father, José Ruiz y Blasco, was also a painter and an art teacher. His mother was Maria Picasso y Lopez. His father was a good, traditional artist. He painted realistic pictures of birds and believed in learning art the old, careful way. From this world of rules and tradition, a special talent was born. Picasso's mother liked to tell a story about his first words. She said he did not say mama or papa. Instead, he said piz, piz. This was a short way to say lápiz, the Spanish word for pencil. From the very beginning, he wanted to create. By the time he was 7 years old, his father was teaching him art. He learned to draw people and use oil paints very quickly. Young Pablo loved art more than anything. He did not care about his other schoolwork. His talent was so big, so powerful that it surprised everyone. There is a famous story about his father. When Pablo was 13, his father saw him finish a drawing of a bird. The drawing was so perfect and strong that his father was shocked. The story says he gave his own brushes and paints to his son and promised to never paint again. This story might not be completely true, but it tells us something important. A new, powerful artist was here, and he would change everything. The family's life was not always easy. They moved to a new city, and then something terrible happened. Picasso's younger sister, Conchita, died when she was only 7 years old. This was a great sadness for the family, and Picasso never forgot it. This deep sadness would later appear in his art. After her death, the family moved again, this time to Barcelona. Picasso loved Barcelona and always felt it was his real home. When he was 13, his father wanted him to enter a famous art school. The test to get into the advanced class usually took students 1 month to finish. Picasso finished it in just 1 week. The teachers were amazed. They let him into the school right away. But even in the best school, Picasso was a restless student. He did not like to follow the rules of the classroom. His father rented a small studio for him to work in. But his father checked on him all the time, and they often argued. When Picasso was 16, he went to Madrid to study at the best art school in Spain. But he did not stay in the classes for long. He found a better school, the Prado Museum. There, he looked at the paintings of the great Spanish masters like Goya and El Greco. He especially loved El Greco. He saw in El Greco's strange, long figures and bright colors a new kind of freedom. It was an art full of spirit, not just realism. This idea stayed with him for the rest of his life. At the start of the new century, Picasso's life changed forever. In 1900, he visited Paris for the first time. Paris was the center of the art world. It was a city full of excitement and freedom, but also a city where it was easy to be poor. He became friends with a writer named Max Jacob. They shared a small, cold room. One of them slept during the day, and the other slept at night. It was so cold that Picasso had to burn his own drawings to stay warm. He was feeding his early art to the fire, just to survive. This difficult time made him strong. He traveled between Spain and France. For a short time, he helped create an art magazine in Madrid. He drew cartoons that showed his sadness for the poor people of the world. It was during this time that he made an important decision. He started to sign his paintings with only his mother's last name, Picasso. It was a more unique name, and it helped him stand out. In 1901, all the sadness and struggle in his life came together in his art. His good friend, Carles Casagemas, killed himself in a cafe in Paris. Picasso was heartbroken. This deep personal pain was the start of his blue period. For about 3 years, his paintings were full of dark, sad colors, mostly blues and greens. He painted the people that society forgot, poor beggars, blind men, and thin mothers holding their children. A famous painting from this time is The Old Guitarist. The blue period was a window into his sad and lonely soul. It showed a world with no warmth and no hope. Then, just as quickly as the sadness came, it began to disappear. In 1904, Picasso moved to Paris to live there permanently. He met a woman named Fernande Olivier, who was an artist and his first great love. Her love and his new friends brought light back into his life. This was the beginning of his rose period. The colors in his paintings became warm, with soft pinks and oranges. The mood became happier and more gentle. He started to paint circus performers, like acrobats and harlequins. The harlequin, with his colorful diamond costume, became a special symbol for Picasso, almost like a picture of himself. During this time, 2 important American art collectors, Gertrude Stein and her brother Leo, started to buy his work. This gave him money and made him more famous. He met many other artists at their home, including Henry Matisse. Matisse was another great artist of the time. They became lifelong friends, but also great rivals. They were like 2 kings of modern art, always watching each other and pushing each other to be better. The biggest change in Picasso's art, and maybe in the history of art, happened in 1907. He visited a museum in Paris and saw African masks and sculptures for the first time. He was amazed by their raw power and simple, strong shapes. This was not the gentle, realistic art of Europe. This was something different, something powerful and spiritual. This experience, along with his interest in ancient Spanish art, gave him a revolutionary idea. He put this idea into one giant, shocking painting, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. The painting shows 5 women. Their bodies are sharp and broken into angles. Their faces look like African masks. The painting was not trying to be beautiful in the old way. It was an attack on old ideas of beauty. When Picasso showed it to his friends, they were horrified. Even Matisse was angry and thought it was a joke. But Picasso knew he had done something important. He had taken the human body apart and put it back together in a completely new way. This one painting was the start of a new art movement, cubism. For the next few years, Picasso worked very closely with another painter, Georges Braque. Together, they started an artistic adventure. They created the first style of cubism, called analytic cubism. They took everyday objects, like guitars or bottles, and broke them down into simple shapes. They showed these objects from many different sides all at once. It was like walking around an object and seeing it all in one moment. They used very few colors, mostly browns, grays, and blacks. They wanted to focus only on shape and form. Their paintings from this time are so similar, it is sometimes hard to know who painted which one. Around 1912, their ideas changed again. This led to synthetic cubism. In this new style, they brought bright colors back into their paintings, and they did something even more radical. They invented collage. Picasso started to glue real things onto his paintings, like pieces of newspaper, wallpaper, or labels from bottles. His painting Still Life with Chair Caning was the first real collage. This new idea mixed art and real life together. It asked a big question: what is a painting? During this creative time, Picasso also found a new love, Marcel Humbert, who he called Eva. Sadly, she died very young, which left him full of grief. When World War I started, many of Picasso's friends, including Braque, had to go and fight. Because Picasso was from Spain, he did not have to go to war. He stayed in Paris and continued to work. Later in the war, he started to work with a famous Russian ballet company. He designed the sets and costumes for a ballet called Parade. This work took him to Rome. In Rome, he met a Russian ballet dancer named Olga Koklova. He fell in love with her, and they got married in 1918. Olga brought Picasso into a new world of high society. They went to fancy parties and lived a rich life. This new life changed his art. He started a neoclassical period. For a while, he stopped painting in the broken style of cubism. Instead, he painted large, heavy figures that looked like ancient Greek and Roman statues. He and Olga had a son, Paulo, but their marriage was not happy. Olga wanted a formal, quiet life. Picasso was still a wild, bohemian artist. They were too different. By the mid-1920s, another new art movement was happening in Paris: Surrealism. The Surrealists were interested in dreams and the hidden parts of the mind. Picasso never officially joined their group, but their ideas influenced him. His art became more dreamlike and full of deep emotions. This change was also because of a new, secret love in his life. In 1927, Picasso, who was 45 years old, met a 17-year-old girl named Marie Thérèse Walter. She became his secret muse. He painted her again and again with bright, happy colors and soft, curving lines. They had a daughter together named Maya. During the 1930s, a new and powerful symbol appeared in his art: the Minotaur. In old Greek stories, the Minotaur was a creature that was half man and half bull. For Picasso, this creature was a symbol of himself. It showed his two sides, the creative artist and the wild beast. It showed both his gentleness and his violence. This symbol was perfect for a decade that would be defined by terrible violence in the real world. In 1937, a horrible event happened that forced Picasso to look at the world outside his studio. The Spanish Civil War was happening in his home country. A small town in the Basque region, called Guernica, was bombed by German airplanes. The attack was ordered by the Spanish nationalist leader, Francisco Franco. The town was completely destroyed, and many innocent people were killed. Picasso was filled with anger and pain. He used all of his feelings to create his most famous and powerful painting. He called it Guernica. It is a huge painting, as big as a wall, and it is painted only in black, white, and gray. It is not a realistic picture of the bombing. It is a universal scream of pain. In the painting, you can see a screaming mother holding her dead child, a horse crying in agony, and people trapped in burning buildings. The painting was shown to the world at an international art show in Paris. It immediately became a powerful symbol against war. Picasso said that the painting could not return to Spain until the country was free and democratic. For many years, it was kept in a museum in New York City, waiting to go home. During World War II, Germany occupied Paris. Picasso decided to stay in the city. He was a symbol of artistic freedom. The Nazis hated his modern art and called it degenerate. He was not allowed to show his paintings, but he never stopped working in his studio. The German secret police, the Gestapo, often visited him to ask questions. There is a famous story about one of these visits. A German officer saw a photo of the Guernica painting and asked Picasso, "Did you do that?" Picasso looked at him and answered, "No, you did." After the war ended and Paris was free, Picasso, now in his 60s, started a new relationship. He met Françoise Gillot, a young art student who was 40 years younger than him. She was smart and strong. For 10 years, they lived together, and she was the mother of his next 2 children, Claude and Paloma. Their life was exciting, but Picasso was often controlling and unfaithful. Françoise was the only woman in his life who chose to leave him. He never forgave her for it. Years later, she wrote a book about their life together. She wrote about his genius, but also about his cruelty to the people who loved him. In his last years, Picasso was a world-famous celebrity. He was very rich and lived in beautiful, large houses in the south of France. His creative energy never slowed down. He began to have conversations with the great artists of the past. He painted many new versions of famous paintings by artists like Velázquez and Manet. In 1961, he married his last wife, Jacqueline Roque. She was completely devoted to him and was his companion until his death. His final years were an explosion of creativity. He made hundreds of paintings and drawings. Many were full of energy and passion. At the time, some critics said these late works were not good. But today, people see them as a final, powerful statement from a great artist who was fighting against old age and death. Picasso worked until the very end of his life. He died on April 8, 1973, in his home in France. He was 91 years old. He left behind an amazing amount of art, thousands and thousands of paintings, sculptures, and drawings. But he did not leave a will. This caused many long and bitter legal fights between his wife, his children, and his grandchildren. The story of his family was complicated and often tragic. 2 of the women he loved, Marie Thérèse and Jacqueline, later took their own lives. His family life was as full of darkness as his art was full of light. Pablo Picasso was a man of many sides. He could be charming and kind, but he could also be selfish and cruel. He was a man who loved life, work, and women with a huge appetite. His importance to the world of art cannot be measured. He broke the old rules of art and built something new and exciting. He showed everyone that a painting did not have to be a perfect copy of the world. It could be a new world itself. He left behind so much work, in so many different styles, that it is impossible to describe it in one way. More than any other artist, Pablo Picasso captured the fast, broken, and brilliant feeling of the 20th century. He gave us a new way to see, and his work continues to surprise, challenge, and inspire us today.